Oh, this book is ridiculous in the best way. Hello and welcome to my channel. In this video we're going to be talking about Overlondon by George Penney and Tony Johnson, and boy was this a fun one. So I was sent an audio copy of this through the publisher Swashbuckler Press for a review. And I figured that actually worked because I've been behind on review copies for a while, but I'm like, hey, I have time for audio. And this one is supposed to be a comedy, and so I thought that would be kind of a fun thing to throw in. And it makes comparisons to Pratchett and Adams and some other people that I wasn't familiar with too. And so I feel like you get that if it's a British and it's comedy, you start to get those types of comparisons, and you usually read it and I'm like, yeah, but it's nothing like that. So I am pleased to say this actually is the first thing I've read that really does feel very Pratchett in a very good way. There are parts of this that feel almost like it could be an updated Discworld type of novel. It definitely has its own unique elements, different things set up with the world and everything, but it just has that kind of style of humor with the wordplay and the characters and the ridiculous situations and just all of the different parties kind of coming together and everything going on between the good guys and the villains and the miscellaneous people. It really did feel like the most like a Discworld novel that of something I've read that's not a Discworld novel, and mean that is very much a really big compliment. And so Overlondon takes place in Overlondon, which is like the floating city of London, and there's some explanation as to why, but there are other floating cities, and that's just kind of the norm. And so our main character is the dread pirate Purple Rain. A lot of references right all there already. And so Captain Rain is a pirate who has turned privateer after getting a pardon, basically, and is trying to get her ship back. The ship that flies in the sky, I'll know here too, because, Overlondon. And so sets up the privateering business and ends up getting hired to try to solve the mystery of why a priest exploded. Um, and that's the mystery that's going on here. We have all kinds of different elements and characters that are introduced. This also, in this world, there are anthropomorphic animals of various different sorts, one of which is a ferret that loves to steal. But there are all kinds of different anthropomorphic animals in there as well. You have the priests of the vengeful queen, basically, and there's a lot of like the commentary and satire around all kinds of things in general, politics and religion and everything else in there as well, which you definitely get with Pratchett, and it's done in that way that's fun. It has some biting satire at parts. But also it keeps that kind of the fun and the comedic feel, and does a really good job. And like I said, you can tell that this is something that's written in a more modern time, because it just and don't get me wrong, because I really have enjoyed Discworld, and I haven't gotten through to the really newer ones yet, but sometimes you're reading a Discworld novel and you can tell it is a bit dated. Now, a lot of it's timeless and still applies. This, though, feels very fresh and kind of doing that sort of thing while having its own unique elements. And you do have kind of a mystery at the core of it, because they're trying to figure out what happened with the exploding priest, and then when it continues to happen, and there's a lot of debate, is it a miracle, or are these people being punished for heresy, for doing things they weren't supposed to do? And I'm trying not to spoil things, because this isn't a book where I feel like spoilers are like a huge deal, but at the same time there's a lot of things that are, I feel like, funnier if you're just experiencing them and you don't know what you're actually going to be getting into, because it's pretty great. And I just can't say enough too. I almost felt like if I would have been reading this physically, I would have. When I used to read Discworld novels, I would always put little bookmarks in. It's just lines that particularly made me laugh and that were fun, and I would read off some of my favorite lines. I need to get a physical copy of this, because I absolutely want to do that with this and kind of find some of my favorite lines, because there were just so many. And it's the wordplay and it's the puns, but it's done in a fun and a smart way. And I really enjoy that kind of wordplay. Pratchett's really big on that type of thing. And I'm not trying to just absolutely compare this to Pratchett and make it sound like it's copying, because it's really not. It's doing its own unique thing, but it really is that style of humor. And normally when people say that, it turns out that it's not. In this case, it very much was that kind of humor, and it worked really well. The narrator for this also did a fantastic job with just the general delivery and the different voices. He had a wide range. I'm trying to remember what his name was now, and I've forgotten, so I apologize, narrator. I have forgotten your name. But the narrator does a great job with the voices, and for example, there's a crier who will yell out things like for news or advertising, down at the cry and that kind of thing. And the voice he does for the cry is always just fantastic, especially the more ridiculous the thing he's yelling, and having the crier like yell out the news and then yell out an advertisement was just something that made me laugh. You get that kind of throughout. Seeing just how this city works, all the different factions and groups and guilds and people in the city, which are a very diverse group. It's still, it's Overlondon. It's definitely not Ankh-Morpork, but it kind of once again has a little bit of the feel where it's just this crazy fantasy city where you never know what's going to be around the corner and what's going to happen next, and just really, really, really well done. I do really enjoy throwing in comedic books like this every now and then, so this is one that I think is great. It's well written, it's really enjoyable. The audio, which I did, like I said, was narrated really well, was very easy to get through. It's the first book I actually did through Spotify. They sent me a code through Spotify, and I had never listened to a book on there, and actually it was super easy, very functional. I use Spotify for music, but I had not used it for books before. So there's just a note for anyone who hasn't tried it. Actually, it was super easy to use. But this would be great to throw in if you just want something different, or if you just enjoy comedic fantasy. There was a lot to enjoy here. I will definitely be looking forward to the continued adventures of Captain Rain. And just even just talking about it now, I'm just fondly remembering so many of the bits and pieces of this that I just really enjoyed. This is one I'll definitely be getting a physical copy of, just so that I have. But also the audio is a very fun way to do it as well. So I think either would be fine. This isn't a book where I feel like you definitely have to listen to audio. But if you like audio, it's a great audio. If you're not big on audio, I think this would also read fantastically. Because I've read 90% of Discworld. I've done very little audio for Discworld, and always works great. I feel like this would be similar, where it'll land regardless of the medium that you use to get it. But that is it for this one, so definitely let me know if you've heard of this or read this. Like I said, I had a hoot with this. I definitely recommend it. I really, really enjoyed it, and it was an easy 5 stars for me. So I'm just really glad I got a copy of this to do the review, because I had a blast with this. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Make sure to give the video a like if you enjoyed it. Check the link in the description, as always, for the Wizard of the Enclave Discord if you want to chat books, whether this book, other books, any books, really anything at all. It's a lot of fun, and we'd love to have you. And of course, if you enjoy my content, make sure to subscribe.